Most people think that fear means stop. But what if fear was a sign that you are close to your breakthrough? What if it was a sign that all of the things that you have been praying for are about to finally be answered? I've been a person that has been trying to study fear because I know that fear keeps a lot of us stuck in a position for way too long. And being a person that deals with fear myself, I wanted to learn how I could use it to my advantage. In studying my own fear, I realized that right before my life was about to change, that's when fear showed up the most. Right when it was time for me to let go of my old self to make room for my new self, that's when fear showed up. Right when things finally start to work and life is finally start to be how I asked it to be, that's when fear showed up the loudest. So today I want to break down why this actually happens, because I feel like if we actually understand this, this might be the thing that gets us over the hump and stops us from staying stuck or feeling like our time is never coming. Because once we understand why fear actually happens, then we can be able to use this to know this is not the time to stop or not the time to quit, but this is the time for us to actually rise up and soar like the eagles that we were meant to be. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down why fear actually increases when it's time for you to grow. Then we're going to talk about the difference between the two types of fear, which is protective fear and growth fear. And then I'm going to talk to you about how fear is actually a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Because most people are not incapable of accomplishing things or setting goals and being able to reach those goals. Most of us just fail because we misinterpret the signals that life throws at us. Fear is not something that's comfortable. Fear is extremely uncomfortable. So because our mind is created for survival and our mind is created to keep us comfortable, fear always seems scary. But today we're going to really break down what fear actually is, because I truly feel like once we understand what fear is, then we're going to, in a way, kind of run towards our fear, meaning that when those moments that we feel fear the most, we'll know that this is a signal for us to rise up, for us to be stronger, for us to see whatever it is that we're going through as an opportunity to grow instead of looking at it as a circumstance to keep us stuck. I always noticed that fear never showed up when I was playing things small, when I was pretty much hiding myself and staying behind closed doors, when I wasn't working towards my goals, or I wasn't trying to pursue a life path that, fulfilled my purpose. It's like I didn't ever feel any type of fear, because when you are playing things small or you're keeping things comfortable in your life, then you don't really have fear. Fear starts to show up when you decide that you want to level up, when you decide that, hey, I want more in my life and I'm going to do whatever it is that it takes in order for me to get on that other side. It's that moment that you make the decision that, hey, I'm going to do more, that fear seems to be on the other shoulder saying, this is not something that I need to do right now, or this is not something that's going to actually be able to work. This is something that's going to be way harder than what you think it is. So we need to just stay the same. But that just keeps us stuck in a position. And although we may not feel fear when we're comfortable, we start to feel miserable or have a lack of fulfillment in life. I know that I've dealt with fear a lot, just creating content in general. For such a long time, I will always overthink content creation until I realized that content creation was only something that was unfamiliar to me because I needed to get better at it. It was something that I needed to get stronger at. It was something that was a weakness and I needed to use it in order for me to be able to become a lot stronger in the areas in which I was weak. But it wasn't something that was keeping me in this position other than my thought process, other than me feeling like this is not something that could ever be me. But on the other side, I would always sit back and I would watch the people that were in the positions that I wanted to be. And I wondered how they got there. And I'm not a person that is ever going to be jealous of somebody else that's in a position that I want to be. I'm the person that's inspired by them. But I kind of got tired of being sick and tired with myself, meaning like When are we ever going to do what's necessary in order for us to be able to grow? Other times I started to have fears when I was trying to build something real for myself or something that I wanted to be consistent with. It always felt like, hey, it's cool to just sit back and just wait, man. Like the perfect time isn't here right now, so don't take the action. Like wait until your time is coming. Be a little bit more patient because you're going to be able to have your breakthrough. Until I started being real with self and identifying through reflection that you only feel this way because you want to stay the same. And maybe you don't want to stay the same consciously. Consciously, we have the thought process of, I want to change. I want to be better. I want to do better. We have those thoughts every single day. But the thoughts that we live with, which is in the subconscious mind, is what our identity actually is. And our identity is used to staying who we are right now. So growth is something that is disguised in the form of fear because we are scared of the emotion that we're going to have if we actually change who it is that we are right now. And that's not an easy place to live in if you don't know that this is something that has a hold on you. If you're not aware that fear is something that is actually keeping you back. Most people have everything that it takes. Like we all have the ability to get up and to be creators. We all have the ability to design the life that we actually want to live. And the people that have got to the places that we see and we want to actually be, they have the same 24 hours out of their day as we do. So it's not an excuse of whether or not we can be, it's not whether or not we can be able to get there. It's whether or not we're willing to do what it's going to take in order for us to be able to stay consistent for one, but also see it through in the times where our mind is telling us to stop and go back to who it is that we were. You're always going to feel fear the most when it's time for you to enter a new realm of life. It's never when it's time for you to stay the same. But you're going to look up, and if you don't ever take action, then the fear that you're going to have is going to turn into a pain of you not growing. And that pain is going to show up in the form of being miserable and feeling like, man, my life can be a lot better than what it is. But you look back and you're going to look at all of the wasted time that you've had from just thinking about the thing or allowing for the fear to be the strongest voice in your head, telling you that you don't have what it takes right now in this moment. But the moment that you unlock the understanding of fear being something that is really telling you that this is your time to break through, and it's not a time to quit. It's not a time to go backwards. It's not a time to stay still, but it's a moment to take action. It's a moment to overcome whatever your circumstance is right now. It's a moment to look at life and see the opportunity that you have standing in front of you. Once you get on that side of fear, fear starts to become a strength for you. The moments where I feel anxiety now are moments that I know that, hey, this is the thing that you need to be doing. Like for me, and it sounds kind of crazy, but I started meditating because I had so much anxiety. Like whenever my stomach would drop or whenever I'm just like, my blood's pumping super, super quick, I just stop and I breathe. And it took me 6-7 years of meditating and being able to practice mindfulness in these moments that was able to get me to the point of understanding how to be able to control this emotion. But once I got to the feeling of understanding it, it's like, hey, this is how I know that I'm doing the right thing. When I feel fear, when I second guess myself, 9 times out of 10, that's like my assurance, or that's my confirmation that this is the thing that we need to be doing, and we need to go headstrong with it. We need to put our best foot forward. Because the mind's going to believe whatever it is that we tell it. If you choose to believe that voice that's telling you that you're not ready, then you're not going to be ready. But if you use that voice that is saying, hey, this might not be the thing, and it's like, shut up. Like, I got this. This is what's going to work. This is the thing that I need to be doing. The reason why I feel this fear right now is because this is my moment for me to be able to break through and finally get whatever it is that I'm looking for. I am close to my destination. I'm close to my dream. I'm close to my purpose. When you change your mindset and you look at fear like that, then you become unstoppable. And nothing can take you off of your path. Nothing can stop you from accomplishing any type of goals, and you can play it strong. Like, you don't have to play it small. You can play it big. And you can realize that these moments of fear is actually going to turn into fuel to get you to the destination that you've been working to get to. Now, it's actually two types of fears. And the first one is going to be protective fear. The second fear is going to be growth fear. Protective fear is the fear that kind of makes you feel safe. So like, I like to look at protective fear as like, if you were out hiking or you were in the woods camping and you hear something in the woods, like, protective fear is going to say, hey, I need to be aware of my surroundings and I need to make sure that I'm not taking myself or the people around me into danger. That's not the fear that we just want to run into, because it's like, hey, I got this feeling and I hear something over there, so I'm going to run towards where that thing is. Like, that's not the type of the fear that I'm talking about today. The type of fear that I'm talking about that keeps us stuck is the growth fear. It's the fear that seems to keep us comfortable. And it seems to keep us comfortable because it's the fear of getting out of unfamiliar situations. It's the fear that shows up when it's time for you to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. In the moments where you're required to change your identity and go back from or become the new person, that's the fear that shows up then, because growth fear is a fear that's like, hey, I feel good where I am right now. Life isn't too hard. I don't have this much responsibility. I'm not out in the public or the visible or the public eye where people can see me and look at all of my flaws. Like, this is a growth fear. And it's something that I had to deal with a lot, because for a long time, I would just sit on a lot of information. I would just go and accumulate and attract more information. Let me go and learn more stuff. Let me go and do more things. But I wasn't necessarily taking action out loud for me to be able to use my purpose in the right way, which is to be able to share what my gifts are and the things that I've been able to learn with the people that I can be able to help impact. Like, that was a fear that I dealt with for a long time, and it kept me stuck because essentially that fear turned into a pain of me resenting myself and being able to look back in time and saying, you could be in this position only had you stayed consistent with doing the things when you were uncomfortable, doing the things when stuff was not perfect, doing the things when you didn't have everything figured out in the right particular way. But I didn't get to the understanding of, or having the feeling of resentment and realizing that the growth fear was just something that kept me comfortable, until I looked back and I realized how much time I had wasted by playing it small, by being the comfortable person, keeping myself small, because it's like, hey, I know because deep down inside, I know if I use my gifts, then there's no limit on the amount of people that can receive the gift that I'm being able to give to the world. So I feared changing. I feared the success aspect more than I feared failing. And I say that a lot in a lot of my videos, because I truly do feel like most people don't fear failing. They fear the success aspect, because success requires us to change. Success requires us to grow. And I look at success as it's not ever an end goal. Like, you're always going to want to grow and become more. You're always going to want to do more. Once you get to the place that you feel satisfied, you're never going to be satisfied. Like, it's always going to be more that can be done. Maybe it changes. Maybe the way or the type of goals that you have change. It might not always be monetary, but once you get to a specific area, there's going to become new things that is going to be extremely important to you. So growth is something that we will never get rid of. Success is something that we are always trying to pursue, because I feel like if you have the ability to wake up on a day-to-day basis, that means that you have the opportunity to grow and become a better version of yourself, regardless of how old you may get, because wisdom is constantly growing. The people that stop receiving education are the people that lack the most wisdom, because wisdom is something that has to continuously be learned on a day-to-day basis. We never stop learning. But the growth fear keeps us stuck because we force ourselves to not put ourselves in a position of uncomfortability, which is what's going to force us to learn the most. What's going to give us the most experience? What's going to help us be able to overcome any type of obstacle that stands in front of us? Your comfortability is where your potential is dying right now. And on the opposite side of comfortability is you actually showing up and using your potential and doing it scared, doing it unready, doing it when you don't feel like this might be the right thing to do because your voice is telling you, your heart is dropping, your blood is pumping fast. Like all of the signs are saying, hey, you're doing something that's unfamiliar and I'm scared right now, so I don't want to do this thing. But that is the actual moment that you need to use to your advantage to show up and put your best foot forward and realize that those are the moments where your breakthrough is actually happening for you. But if you don't understand that, you're missing out on the opportunity of your breakthrough and you go back into your shell and you hide yourself and you stay small because that's where it feels the most comfortable. So in order to be able to get past that fear, we got to look at fear in a different perspective. You got to look at fear as a specific messenger, as somebody that is in a way coming to tell you that, hey, I'm challenging you right now, but I'm really challenging you because I want the best for you. I want you to overcome this feeling that you have right now. I want you to look at this thing that feels like a weakness, and we need to be able to develop this as a strength. So I'm a person that, like, the richest and the most wisest people in the world, they don't have all of the answers. They just ask the best questions. And there's 3 questions that I started to ask myself in the times where I felt fear the most. And these questions help me be able to search for answers instead of just taking what is current right now in the moment that I feel or the circumstance and what I can see. And it started to make me think about where it is that I was going and being able to focus on what I actually wanted. So the first question is, are you serious this time? Are you serious about discipline? Are you serious about becoming different? Like, whenever I have fear now, I always ask these questions. Like, really, this one question disguised in different ways, but is really saying, are you serious about this? Or are you going to allow for how you to feel? Are you going to allow how you feel right now to determine who you're going to become? Are you going to allow this feeling in the moment that's saying, I'm not ready, I don't have everything, there needs to be a perfect timing? Are you going to be serious enough about what you asked for? Or are you going to allow for that feeling in the moment to be the thing that says, this is what we're going to do? Every single time that you say, I want more, and fear shows up, you got to ask yourself and look in the mirror and be real with yourself. Are you serious this time, or are you just going to continue to talk about it? Because one thing about change, it requires you to remain consistent. The reason why most people don't change is because they're not able to show up with that uncomfortable feeling more than one day at a time. You might be able to do it intensely. You might be able to show up one time and it's like, hey, I got this breakthrough. I'm feeling good today. Like, I have this feeling of fear right now, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it anyways. I have this feeling of not wanting to go to the gym right now, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it anyways. I got this feeling of stop eating the things that's not or that's making me add weight or it's not best for my health. Like, I'm going to do this one time, but can you remain consistent and do it over a period of time? Can you be serious with yourself and not just do it in the moment where you feel the most motivated or you feel the most excited, but can you be able to show up and do it when you don't even feel like doing anything at all? Like, that's where growth happens. It happens through you remaining consistent in the moments where you may feel uncomfortable, still being able to show up and do the things. And the only way that you can be able to create this reality for yourself is by setting a standard that you're going to remain serious with what you said you were going to do. There was somebody that commented on one of my shorts the other day, and pretty much he was just like, bro, I appreciate the advice, but I just don't feel like this can be me. Like, how do I believe the stuff that I say to myself can be real and can be true? Because right now I'm telling myself that life is going to change. I'm telling myself that life is going to be better. But deep down inside, I still feel the same exact way. And life is not changing for me. Like, what do I do? And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what type of advice to give him other than do what you said you were gonna do and say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. And do it even when you're scared. Do it even when you're not ready. Do it even when you don't even feel like you have everything inside of you to be able to show up as the strongest version of yourself. And that was the best advice that I could be able to give to myself, because every single day we are human. So I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be able to have courage. I'm asking you to be able to believe in yourself. I'm asking you to take yourself serious and to take your life serious. To not look at discipline as something that is a choice, but something that you have to do and it's non-negotiable. Because once we are able to identify and we look at perspective as a messenger, instead of somebody that is telling us that we can't do something, but it's a messenger that is challenging us to become a better version of ourselves. Once we start to look at fear like that, then it becomes the angel of fear. It becomes the thing that actually protects us in the moments where we don't feel like we're ready. It's the thing that's driving us to continue to show up and put our best foot forward. Because we know if we're having this emotion right now of uncomfortability, this emotion of wanting to remain the same, then we will eventually get to where it is that we want to get to. And any type of hardships won't be a full-time circumstance. It might be a mood switch, but it won't turn into a character trait. So use fear as something that is on your side. Use it as something that you can be able to grow with. Something that is not here to destruct you, but it's something that is actually here to build you up. I started tracking when I felt fear the most. And instead of looking at fear as a bad thing, I started to look at it as the doorway for my success. But most people just stand at the door. A lot of people have the door open, but they just stand at the door because they're scared to step inside of the room, because they know that if they step inside of this room, this door might close and it's going to keep you away from your old life. It's going to force you to live your new life. But when you look at fear as the doorway to your new life, as the doorway for you to be able to get over the hump and actually start to reap some of the benefits of life, you'll have a lot more confidence to not just stand at that door and go back and forth and playing it in between and just step in that door, even though that room right now may seem dark. The only way for there to be light in a room is for it to be dark at first. If everything was light, we wouldn't even know what light really was. So the doorway that you're standing in right now, that you are in between your old life and your new life, you got to be able to have the courage and the strength to be able to step inside of that door and stay inside and realize that fear is only going to be a doorway for your next stage in your life. Most people don't ever get to the next stage in their life because it forces them to change their identity. And everybody wants a different life, but nobody wants to create the new identity that comes with the new life that you're asking for. So once you understand what fear actually is, and this is something that I'm challenging you guys to do right now. You can either stop the video right now and do it, or you can wait until after this video to do it. But write down the 5 things that you feel fear with the most. I'm going to share mine with you. My 5 is whenever it came time for me to remain or become more visible, have more responsibility, execute. Anytime it was time for me to put myself in the leadership role or show up as a leader, anytime it was time for me to give myself self-respect. Those were the 5 times, or the 5 times I should say, because it's still a work in progress. It's a day-to-day thing. That's when I feel fear the most. When it's time for me to show my flaws to the world, because I don't know who is able to come across my content right now. I don't know who it impacts, but I just show up. And for a long time, I feared showing up, not because I didn't want to become the person that can be able to impact, but I didn't want people to look at me and see what was wrong with me. But it's like, hey, man, like people aren't even worried about that. Like it was just a fear that was just stopping me. People aren't even worried about how you show up. People compliment me all the time, how good or how good my content looks. But of course, being a critic of myself, I'm always going to think that there's room for more. It's growth and it's things that we can do better. But I can't allow for that criticism to keep me stuck, because criticism in a way is fear. Whenever it's time for me to be able to step up as a leader or be more responsible and execute in some type of way, I always feel fear. But why did I feel the fear? I felt the fear because I wanted to grow and I wanted to become different. It didn't happen for me when I just wanted to stay the quiet guy, when I wanted to stay behind closed doors and be a ghost and sit on all of this $1 million information and not share it with people. It didn't happen then because I was comfortable. I didn't have to show up as anybody. I could just show up for myself. But showing up for myself, it eventually started to feel selfish, because it's like you have a purpose and you got something that's living on the inside of you. And it's meant for people to be able to hear your point of view in life, your perspective in life, which led me to the self-respect aspect. Like, self-respect is, I'm not a selfish person. I'm a person that loves to give. I'm a person that is the most happiest when the people around me are happy, when other people are smiling, when other people have life and things figured out. That's when I'm the most happiest. So for a long time, I was standing at that doorway and I would look on this side of the room where it's comfortable at. And it's like, man, I might as well just stay here. I got everything built up. I don't have to be over here on this side where it's uncomfortable. I can stay where I'm comfortable, where I'm known at. But on the other side, I would look on this side of the doorway and I would see, hey, bro, this is the life that you've been asking to live. This is where you want to be able to get to. But I was stuck in beside the doorway for such a long time because fear was pulling me backwards while my vision was saying I needed to go forward. So if you're in a position right now where you're at that doorway and it's opening up for you and you can see your new life, but it's still something that's on the inside that's literally screaming at you, that's saying, nah, not right now. Just wait a little bit longer. You can have more things figured out first. Everything's not perfect right now. You need to be able to stay strong and just wait for the right time to come. That's the doorway that you're at right now, but that doorway is not telling you to stay calm. It's not telling you to stay comfortable. It's not telling you to stay where it is that you are. It's challenging you to grow, and it's your actual breakthrough. So in conclusion of this video, if you're scared right now, that means that you are close. If you feel your fear right now, that means that you are close. You're close to trusting yourself. You're close to being more disciplined with yourself. You're close to having more clarity in your life. You're close to your breakthrough. And that voice that's telling you that you don't have what it takes, you got to be able to change how that voice sounds and realize that that voice is telling you actually that this is the moment that you need to show up and be the strongest. And you need to do it anyways, because you always feel better once you have done the thing. You only feel bad when you think about the thing and you don't do the thing. So I entered a flow state in today's video. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what is something that has been keeping you stuck or a fear that you've been having? And if you don't want to share that, at least comment, I'm walking through the door. Because that's the overall goal for today. We need to walk through the door. We need to show up and continue to move forward, because life in the past was only supposed to be a foundation for where it is that we're going. It wasn't supposed to be the do all, say all, or the ending point. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure that you subscribe and like this and share it with somebody else so that they can also be able to impact them as well. And realize that we are building a limitless life. We're building a life that does not have any type of limitations. And the only limitations that it has, the limits that it places, that we place on our own minds. And fear is not something that is supposed to keep you stuck. It's supposed to be a messenger to tell you to keep going. And now that you have this perspective, I'm not saying that fear won't ever show up again, but in those moments that you do feel fear, know that it is time for your breakthrough. And you're close to being able to become the person that you've been wanting to be. And your old person is finally dying off. And it's always going to be you versus you. But one of you has to die. So choose the person that you want to be. Stay focused on the end destination and where you're going. and realize that every feeling, every emotion that you feel in this moment is only challenging because of the way that we look at life and the way that we view things. So now that you have the perspective that fear is really something to make you stronger, not something that should be weakening you, you got everything that you need in order for you to become the person that you desire to be. So I had a lot of fun in this video. I hope to see you guys in the next one.